Thank you to all of our panelists on this panel. We do have time now, about almost 20 minutes for discussion around these topics. I do have some questions, and I also invite the audience to share your questions in the Q&A. We'd be happy to field them and ask our participants here. I do have some questions in particular for each of you. And they're ones that the first one I think came up in the Q&A a little bit, but I wanted to be a little bit more specific towards Dr. Nitin Shah first. Thank you for your presentation. And one of the questions that came up in the chat, and I believe someone may have been you answered it, is people want to know how to get involved. They got inspired by seeing, for example, the food service work that you do locally in Southern California. If people want to get involved directly with you, that's my first question. How can they do that? What avenues do they have to get in touch with you? And the second question I have, because I know you talk about this in the course that you're developing as well, is how can others kind of get inspired to start their own initiative of service?
Thank you, Chris. I did respond by putting my email and my phone number on it. And very specifically, when it comes to food, we have literally zeroed it down to if you want to make 100 meals at home, we will give you recipes and guide you, etc. If you are not in Southern California. If you are in Southern California, of course, we will come and join your hands as well. So homeless and need is all around the world. America is no exception. So anybody and everybody, and we have learned from the United States Commission, and then that's what we continue to practice, that we make only 2-item meals. As you saw yesterday, it was rice and garbanzo beans. And same way we have pasta, we have rice and kidney beans, etc. We have about 6, 7 recipes, and you can literally make for 100 people at home and go and deliver it to your homeless population anywhere. And we will not only give you all the information, but we will support you financially also in the beginning if you need. So we are out to expand this, and we have already started that in Southern California. Now at least we have 2 different areas where we cook. One is City Corona and another is Jain Center. Very soon, hopefully, we will have another place also in La Habra. So that's part one. Your second question was about anything and everything. Just reach out to me. I've taken thousands of people from different parts of the country and the world on missions, and you don't need any training. We will train you, and you don't need to be a healthcare professional. We will take care of getting the work that we need from you based on your experience and based on your qualifications. But anybody, literally, and everybody can travel and come, and we can do just as an example for people who may be wondering what will that be, because you're not going to go into the operating theater and start giving anesthesia, obviously. But from last few years we've been doing vision screening, checking for eyeglasses and giving glasses, and we have simplified it to the level we can train literally anybody in 10 minutes. All you need to know is understand little English and be able to hold the device. And we have trained as young as 10 and 11-year-old child also. Of course, when we are traveling, we would probably prefer to have an adult parent with the child. But in Zambia specifically, I trained 10-year-old girl in 2018, 7 years ago. And she had been going around the school and doing this with other colleagues and seniors on her own now. So anything is possible. All you need is desire. And if you want to do something where you are, I'm happy to guide you. But if possible, I'll even fly out to you for your first community health fairs.
So generous and so inspiring. And I can say that having worked with you, and I remember working, of course, in 2021 when we did the food drive, where you were a major player in the delivery of 150,000 meals, as you recall, with the
Yep.
work we did through Jaina. I can only speak so highly on your behalf as a leader in the community of compassion and action, and highly recommend that people reach out to you if they want to start getting involved in this incredible work that you're doing for so many communities, locally and globally. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you so much. And you also, I'm going to say something about Shamini's talk just briefly. I know she's not here with us, but one of the things that you and I talked about before, Nitin, that I'm going to now transition into shamanies is self-compassion and self-care while you're doing all this work, because it takes a tremendous amount of energy, and it also fills you with a tremendous amount of energy to do this work. But of course, you have to take care of yourself. And that was one of the things that really stood out in Shamani's presentation, that as we're talking about compassion in action, there's an equal and important part of compassion to oneself and self-compassion. And she really emphasized that quite nicely, as she also emphasized how meditating together and doing this kind of work can also reduce perhaps hostility in one's surroundings, for example. I took a lot away from that on the positive impacts of self-care and self-compassion, not only for oneself, but then that rippling out into the world. So that I felt was a connection with your work that we've described before when you're on the podcast with us. I actually had a question for Nilima as well. Nilima, I know you're so short on time. You have so many stories to tell. One of the things I really like that inspires you is the HP, as you say. We talked about that the other day when you and I met individually, the higher power, not Hewlett Packard, as you say, and how a small act of selfless service becomes a form of divine service. Can you say more about that? And I don't know if there's any of the other stories you wanted to share, but you seem to be touched with grace, and I just wanted to give you a chance to say a little more. I think you're muted. Yeah.
Yeah, my definition of higher power is this unmeasurable life source energy. Call this higher conscience, higher force, God, Atman, whatever name you want to give it. It's within us, and the Gita explains it. You know, most of us are only living 5% of our potential, and 95% is inside us. And it's all these enlightened masters talk about it. And if you align your purpose with your soul, it creates authentic power. And how do you reach this authentic power? It's through meditation. And I love that Shamim, what is her name? Yeah, she talks about meditation, and you have access to it through meditation. And that's how I have felt. The more I meditate, I get access, and that's your energy. And I really feel that in HOH my journey has been the 5 P's. And now I'll be giving a talk. I'll be the keynote speaker at UC Davis, and I really feel that the thing that I didn't get a chance to talk about was the youth chapter. How do you sustain an organization is by inspiring the youth. And so we are igniting compassion in the youth. And I want to tell them that instant gratification doesn't work. You need the 5 P's. And how do you attract HP? My good friend HP. And it's very interesting in our organization. We all talk about HP like he's a person. And somebody new who comes to our meeting, and we say, oh, HP will take care of it. And they say, who's HP? I mean, it's higher power. So he's really like an energy in us. And so I tell people, what attracts HP? Of course, it's the 5 P's. It's passion, perseverance, perseverance, persistence, purity of purpose, and patience. And when you have these qualities intertwined with compassion, I think HP will hitch a ride with you. And like I mentioned, you know, it's a real powerful creative energy with a very powerful horsepower, which you'll drive faster than a Tesla. And that's what I have experienced in HOH. I did not plan HOH. I thought I'm just going to build a bathroom. That's it. But it's HP. I'm driven by HP. And today HOH is not an organization. It's a movement. It's a movement. And people don't know their potential. I said, just surrender to HP. That's it. And all of us, it's amazing. I mean, HP and yeah. And and every day I wake up with HP. We don't know where HP is going to take us. And the journey of HOH has become boundless, limitless, and endless. As all HP's grace.
Wonderful. And I was going to say that too, that Shamini mentioned kind of tapping into this source of love. She called it love, I think. But there's this potential you can tap into that gives you the energy.
Yes, and I have to share this, that since I've become a more deep meditator, HP's grace is shining even stronger.
Well, it's shining in your video screen now and in your your presence
Technically,
now.
I need help, but anyway, it'll
Yeah,
shine through.
thank you so much, Nilima, for sharing. It is truly inspiring to listen to you. And I had also a question for Shailendra. Shailendra, thank you for your presentation on a very pertinent topic that is all the things you said in that long list that ended in political. I was like, it's all these things. Here, my question really is, given the deep legal and cultural significance of these weapons in the U.S. social and legal landscape, how are your ambassadors now going out into the world to try to make an impact? Can you tell us a little bit about the vision for your ambassadors that you're training and how they what kind of tools they're equipped with as they go out into the world?
That's an excellent question. You can all help me how to motivate the young Ahimsa ambassadors, because given the way they are extremely, extremely, extremely busy in million pursuits as youth in America, doing this, doing that, doing this, I keep trying to contact them, and they do few things like definitely they are spreading the word by word of mouth. If they can influence the thinking of two gun advocate peers in their schools and colleges, that helps. That's what they're doing for sure. A couple of people have started some kind of club, guns down club or control gun violence club, something like that, on a very low key. That's what I hear. And some Ahimsa ambassadors have come to our graduation ceremonies and celebrations and spoken for the new graduating Ahimsa ambassadors, what they have done and what they would like to do. So they all, I must tell you that when they come into the class, 1 week long, rigorous class, accelerated class, they have no idea living in America about the menace of the gun violence. They don't know. And once after 5 days, they are essentially enlightened. Oh my gosh, there is so much problem in our country. And they really feel at the end, they make a beautiful term project presentations in front of large audience. For example, in front of Kannan Srinivasan, Virginia Senator, or Suhas Subramanian, the US Congressman, and they all like it. And they are both the politicians also make their own comments. So the movement is on, as Nilima mentioned, it's a movement, right? We have to keep moving like Mahatma Gandhi or MLK. We have to keep moving. We can't stop. Stopping is the worst thing we can do. As Einstein said, not doing anything, you become a accomplice to the crime, essentially.
Actually, silence is equal to violence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
The problem is just totally huge, and not doing anything should be totally shunned. We must do something. Yeah.
That's not an option.
Say it again.
No, I'm saying that's not an option. Doing nothing is not an option.
And what I recommend here is a lot of interfaith organizations and so-called 501c3 organizations are shying away, thinking they cannot do it. But I just checked today, 2 hours before, they're all wrong. 501c3 organizations can engage in advocacy and can even engage in lobbying in a limited extent. There's no problem. You cannot just promote vote for this and vote for this. Those are things you cannot do. But you can do advocacy and you can do lobbying also. That's 501c. There's absolutely nothing wrong.
Yep.
So that's it. So I'm so happy I checked the AI generated message today.
Well, thank you to all of you for your questions and your answers to my questions. I find them to resonate with much of what has been covered in this entire conference in terms of putting compassion in action. We looked at so many values yesterday and so many acts of compassion in Jain narratives. We looked at Jain philosophy, and I think today the panel before this and this panel really show us various ways that people are effectively putting these principles into practice and doing it to make the world a more compassionate place.